about anything.
Mark teaches music.
Bang, tick, bang, tick, bang.
Have fun. Be awesome.
Hi guys, I'm Mark Black, and this is my channel, Mark Teaches Music. And this is our weekly Q&A, which is to play and sing, which, I play and sing. So that would be like a great name for this. And so that's what the name is. And this is number 80. And so listen, we're all here about learning to play and sing. So about technique, about building skills, about reading music, music theory, how to improvise, performing issues, defeating stage fright. That's, for many people, like a lifelong battle, me. Rock bands, being in a band, being in a concert band, being in a orchestra, or not, I've done all these things, classical chorales and choirs, and barbershop quartets for that matter, leading these groups, being in them. So just want to say, put your freaking questions in this comments, because again, the perfect idea is you come and you see this guy talking about music and you have things you need to answers for, and then you just say, hey, I don't understand why I'm on the alto part. I really don't have that low of a voice, and I can answer that question. I really can't. And or you can say, should I be playing a quite serious question? Need to put it in sometimes. Should it be playing, acoustic, classical, or electric guitar? And I can tell you what I think about that, and it'd be a good answer. So anyway, put those comments in there. So we're talking about any style, any instrument. Some instruments I know extremely well, and some instruments I know okay. And the point is those would be more musical, structural questions. How to practice and what's needed in this or that style. I'm just thinking, for example, that it's easy. In a praise and worship group or a regular band, like in a blues band, do you need a flute? In a blues band, do you need a viola? And the same thing. So questions like that. How should that fit? I'm making all this stuff up. I'm a worship leader and I got 17 violins and a tuba player. How can I make that work? And the answer is, get rid of everybody but one of, or maybe two of the violins, if they are flexible, just as an example. So I'm saying, how to play, dealing with solo performance, how to practice, how to improvise, developing your ear. And so I want to help you solve these things and the things that are holding you back. And I have to look at different stuff. Here's the chats over here. So I'm just saying. So anyway, so bring all your questions, put them here in the chat, and we'll learn amazing things. Now, if you don't put anything in, I'm going to give you, which is what I'm planning on, prepared. I'm prepared. But I'm prepared, with things that students have brought up this week. So just to recap, last week we talked about how personality is the unavoidable factor. You carry yourself with you every time you perform or practice. So what you do well naturally and what you have problems with naturally based on your personality is, crucial to figure that out. And, I'm not trying to, I am the source of all knowledge. I am not, sadly. But you are with you every time. So anyway, so the point is you need to figure that out. You could ask a question. I could tell you. And it's a huge, many volumes written about that. And not near as many about musicians, but anyway. So, and the fact that I've taught about 3,000 students, not had 3,000 lessons, but 3,000 students, and given them all a personality test and being able to see, that I was wrong about this. So, anyway, your personality, carrying it with you. And then last week we talked about there's only 3 ways to learn music, and what they were. And we talked about active listening to absorb music details. And we talked about ergonomics, and I'm going to let you look that up. Yeah. And about how it affects your playing and singing. And we talked about let's see, we talked about, I gave some simple ear training exercises to develop your ear, but they're not, my gosh, not extensive in any sense. It's just probably very beginner. Um, and then we talked about, guess what? Liking, subscribing, and sharing. You can do that right now, by the way. And about taking online lessons with me or in studio lessons with me at Dallas Music Lessons. And you can email me. Go there to that site, www.dallasmusiclessons, or you can email me at mark@dallasmusiclessons for more info. And let's see. Okay, so we also talked about the second. There's breathing problems for wind instruments, usually specifically, and then the vocalist. And there's 4 things, solutions, sets of solutions, and they're all pretty practical. So we talk about the second one, and then the performance imperative, which is so crucial, and it's pervasive. It's not exactly the personality, but it's super important, and it has negatives and positives. Performing for other people has negatives and positives, not just you being scared or not, or how well you do or not, but things it puts in your skill set or keeps from being in your skill set. So, and just if you're watching this after the actual live stream, be sure and post in the comments. Put your comments in here, and tell me what you want or what question you need to ask, and I'll try to get to it in the next session. And that would be my goal. Would be to put the things that you're interested in there. That's the play and sing. It's not supposed to be a soliloquy on my part about playing and singing. It's supposed to be you guys want to play and sing, and I am helping to make that work. So, all right. So look, I transitioned smooth. So anyway, the first thing that a student, or not, the first thing I'm talking about today that a student talked about or asked questions is that in talking with student is that 2 concepts for breathing, breath support, whether that's a wind instrument or the voice, but it could be any instrument at all, actually. So here's the deal. The first concept, and then we'll take it as breathing. So there's a note here. There's a note. There's my B-roll. There's a note here, and you're imagining that note. Here's the note in a wave, an ocean wave. Your breath support, here's the note, and there's breath support coming up. There's the note, and the breath support after it. So imagine there's breath support. There's a note. There's breath support after it. So instead of you're thinking even if it's short. Sound like I'm dropping the pitch a little bit on the first 2, so I'm trying to fix that. So, and anyway, the point there is, so an ocean wave with support before and support after. Support, here it is, there it is, and after. And a lot of times the high notes, again, whether you're singing or with a wind instrument, a lot of times those high notes, to keep them in tune and they make them sound masterful, it's imagining there's something, here's the note, imagining something after the note, another note, a higher note, makes you support and do better on those long notes, or high notes, either one. So the note is lifted and supported and carried on past. And so, and then just by the way, that's for any instrument. So this is a bass, by the way. I'm playing the bass. So I'm following through. Here's my hand. Wait, no, here I am. There's my shot. Okay, I'm following through, not short, but longer will help me have a better sound. Same thing, the pick is to fill through. So, so we all tend to, as musicians, singing or instrumentally, it's like the note is, here's chord note, ba, 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 but what we're going to tend to do is go ba, 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 because, why? Several reasons. For example, one is that we don't sustain notes while we're talking, our biggest habit. And the other thing is you're thinking about another thing, is that you're thinking about what the next note is, what the next words are. Here comes a page turn. Is this a DC al capo or DC al segno, So anyway, sorry. So anyway, what am I fixing to do? So you hit the note, and then your attention goes someplace else, and you tend to, the note's this long, and you tend to make it half as long as it really goes, or 2/3. So anyway, so that idea of following through is helpful to get the entire note out. And another concept with that about support, breath support, is funding the note. Think of funding. Your note needs to be fully funded, and so it needs to be fully supported, fully as much air as is needed for that note is there. So just like a good investor doesn't pull their money out, after, oh my gosh, I got to get some, put this money someplace else. So he doesn't pull the money out. So you're giving the note all the air that it needs, all the support that it needs. So don't pull your air out of the note before it's done. Okay, so, all right. So the second thing that came up, and this is fairly lengthy, but talking about, I think it's just a fascinating thing. So in the different ways that we read music, music is presented to us, and it's, oh, wait a minute, I had to do my transition, sorry. There, A roll. So anyway, so here we go. So the different types of music notation and their strengths and weaknesses, and they're first off fitted to or used by certain types. So the four ways that I can think of is tab, full notation, everything written out in musical notation, chord charts, everything's written in letters, and lead sheets. And we're going to talk about each one of those. And so different kinds of musicians and different applications of musicians use different types of notation. And there's strengths and weaknesses in both of them, or all four of them. And so anyway, so starting with tablature. Now, again, the person who normally is using this is a guitarist, a bass player, a mandolin player, fretted instruments. And what's great about tablature is telling you exactly what to play. So this is very good for learning a solo on those instruments. It's telling you the finger sometimes, it's telling you the fret, it's telling you the string. But most of the great majority of tabs are just the fretboard with numbers. There's no rhythmic value there. It doesn't tell you how long what the thing you're playing is. Now, it's assuming, of course, you know the song. And that can be a problem. And that's usually what Ultimate Guitar downloads are, is that that tablature is just, there's no notational value there. And there is a way, which is very unusual, but there is a way, a pretty simple way actually, to make a tablature have the rhythmic notation, how long the notes are and that kind of stuff. But most people have never even seen it. I've never seen it on Ultimate Guitar or any of these places. So it's a problem with how long do these things go. But the biggest weakness is that you have no clue what chord you're playing, what the notes are. I mean, am I playing the third of the chord or the fifth? Is this a blue note? You don't know anything about why you're doing this. So it's hard, it really is hard to apply it to the next piece of music. And people who play exclusively by tablature tend to need a tablature chart for every single thing. In other words, it's not like I played this and I see how to ad-lib in a major key or in a compound meter or in a I see how that here I am playing the 7 and the 7 7 1 3 5. Like that, and that was a cool sound, but it's just, finger here, finger here, finger here, this fret, this fret, this fret, and that's it. So I don't know anything about it. And so each song is learned by rote, that if you let it, the way it's set up is the way to look at that. And you need a new chart for each song. And just by the way, you guys probably know, but Guitar Pro is a program that has other places. There is tablature that has the music notation on the top, and then the guitar or whatever, mandolin or whatever it is, underneath. So how to play it and what the actual notes are. but that's way less common, and the Guitar Pro is a great place to get that. And we're just outlining them right now. So second way is fully written notes. Everything is notes, and of course, it's the stereotype is classical music, and that's extremely precise. Everything is written. The notes are written. The rhythm is written. All the details are there. And for different instruments, you absolutely almost must do that. So, the piano, orchestral, and band instruments. We need all those details. But it still doesn't show how your part fits in with the song. You don't know what tone you're playing. It's not that none of these really answer that, but that's the main problem is what I'm saying. The main problem is that, it doesn't really tell you what you're playing. So, in instrument, another thing is that instruments like the guitar, the bass, these fretted strings, they're going, because the fretboard is it's a raw theory. You play this in A flat right here on the 4th fret, blah, 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 and then if you move it down one this way, it's now in G, so you don't have to learn G and A flat and another fret higher. And A, you just say, I played it here in A flat, let me just move my hand up here. I don't actually have to know the names. And I mean, I can play, 90% of the albums you buy with great guitar players are people who don't read music, and that's nothing wrong with that, really. I don't mean they don't understand music or that they don't do great jobs. I'm saying that they are not looking at a piece of paper with dots on the page. That's usually not what they're doing. So there's a lot of time involved to read from notes on these instruments. So there's only one way to play. I'm exaggerating, but there's only one way to play an. Gosh, I don't want the brass players to kill me, but to play an A on a trumpet, to play an A on a saxophone, and so that points towards I can read notes to make sense out of this. But there's, if I want to play an A, if I want to play a pentatonic scale on the guitar. I can play it in G, upper fret in A flat, upper fret in A, upper fret in B flat, and it's kind of counterintuitive to say, well, I'm going to learn what these pitches are because I can just play every single key without on the bass, same thing, without the cool thing I learned in any key, just by position, hand position. So I know what I'm doing. So I'm saying it's hard for those musicians to say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend 2 years learning to read actual notation. Now, and that's a big investment of time. It's not necessary for most of those kinds of instrumentalists unless you're a classical musician, you are a studio musician, a hardcore studio musician, in again, L.A., New York, Nashville, or you really love jazz, because and then there's other stuff, but in other words, those people need all the details, and also that is where a lot of the music is trapped. It's trapped in between pages with dots. So again, classical notation with and then so chord chart. Now this is what rock band, country band, blues band, praise and worship band. So it's just there's nothing on that page but letters. The chords are in letters, the lyrics are in letters. There's no measure markings, and so it's easy to read. And the leader says, "Hey guys, we're going to do so and so. We're going to do Tied to the Whipping Post by Allman Brothers, and here it is. Y'all go listen. Here's your chart, and it's free." So it's great for playing if everybody knows the song and everybody listening to the song and plays okay. But you have to already know the song. If you do not know how that song goes, you are stuck. If you've ever had somebody hand you a chord chart, and again, I'm talking about just letters on the page, and you don't know the song, and they're not playing it, no singing it, it's just here it is. You don't know if that A chord lasts 80 beats or 8 seconds or 8 milliseconds. You don't know anything. You don't know where to play that A, whatever. And you don't also, if you don't know what rhythm you're supposed to be playing, you don't know what meter it is, what's the groove, is the bass playing chords, whatever. So there's no rhythm values there, and so you don't know anything about that. And then last is a lead sheet or a fake sheet, which they're slightly different, but we'll just call them a lead sheet. So that's chords, and under that is the actual notes of the melody written in notation, and under that are the lyrics, usually if it's there. So you got the melody, you got the notation for the you got the lyrics, you got the notation for the melody, and you got the chords written over there. And usually the chords are moved over to be the right, the third beat or the second half of the third beat. So with lead sheets, you can perform a completely unknown song from that. Again, if it's not in the classical style, although I have books that's all kinds of famous classical pieces with, I'm serious, like Mahler's Third Symphony or something, with just written as a chord, as a lead sheet, with the melody and chords written on top, and many, 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 many pieces, not just that. So, so there's not enough details there to learn a solo. That's true, because it's saying here's the song, and there's no details about what the bass is supposed to be other than, well, his chord happens. You can see a little more accurately where his chord happens and that kind of stuff. So this is probably the most complete pop non-classical system. That is showing the melody, the chords, and the lyrics. And so you can pick up a song you never learned before and still play it correctly. Most professional pop musicians, now I'm going to use the word pop like a classical player which is everything except classical music. And jazz guys, which I'm a jazz guy, jazz guys think of pop as everything but classical and jazz. But I would say our definition for pop is everything but classical music. So the most complete pop chart in these styles is typically a lead sheet. Hand this out, and everybody, you don't know the song, and I can see what to do. And again, our jazz band is doing an arrangement of Nardis. It's a full, 24-piece, studio, not studio, what do we used to call it? Stage band. Yeah, there you go. A full, stage band thing. And again, the purpose of the classical originally is I've got a lot of moving parts and I want very specific things. And the opposite end of that is like the lead sheet or the chord chart. It's like everybody can do this approximately, it's okay. So anyway, so what should you use? You got to figure it out what you're trying to get. If you're trying to get the details of this massive Eddie Van Halen solo, if you can tab in the possible what I call tab notes, it's got the actual notation and the tab, and then you can see the rhythm of these things. And no matter what you do, if you buy it or don't buy it, very frequently is simply wrong. And what I'm saying is maybe 90% of purchased tab and classical tab, I should say, in chord charts and things are right, but even when you purchase them, they are, there's that 5% that are like, you're like, how is that? That's not the song. Maybe it's another arrangement or something. And just by the way, the things you download off of Ultimate Guitar, just by the way, you think of it like, oh man, this is all vetted by the International Standard of Musicians. No, I don't know if you noticed on Ultimate Guitar, about a third of the charts you download there say, this is my first tab, so it's like, okay, so anyway, so there's anywhere from an 11-year-old guy saying what he thinks it goes like to a super seasoned pro doing it. And just be careful because of that. I'm just saying, as it messing you up because of that. So, okay, they messing you up because they're wrong. So they can be wrong. So anyway, and then, if you're doing a band, if you have a choice, you get lead sheets or fake book. That's the best thing for your band, probably. And, again, your comments and questions that are solicited. Okay. Now this is the part where I say, okay, You should like this. You should share and subscribe. There's buttons right down there. Just click them and share it, like it, subscribe. And you should take online lessons with me. You should, or in studio lessons here. And you can email me at mark@dallasmusiclessons, or go to www.dallasmusiclessons.com. And so let's see. I'm going to switch to the last thing about, because I've kind of not run out, but spend a lot of time here. So I want to talk about the voice real quick. And the voice is the most psychologically and physiologically intense instrument. Now, somebody invents an instrument where you have to, haul 50-pound rocks of different sizes and drop them, on down a 10-foot embankment, then that could be more. But and I want to explain that, and just by the way, this is not. Again, my degree's in the oboe. I didn't think of myself as a vocalist. I sang, and did okay, but I didn't think of myself as a vocalist till I was in my, early 20s or whatever. Like, hey, I'm a singer. Like, what do you know, so I'm not like the voice, but the voice, you guys got to know if you're in any kind of a group. And again, I'm talking about pop, non-classical music. You're in any kind of a group. If a person starts singing, particularly a solo singer, by themselves singer, it doesn't matter that you're the best musician, that you paid for for this gig, you bought everybody the charts, and you bought them the instruments, and this is, and the person who's singing wins. And I mean that not in a good or bad way. It's just reality. And and just by the way, if you're in any of these bands, and they'll say so I'm just saying you got to support your vocalist, because people don't go, the vocalist is kind of sucky, but the band is jamming. They go like, this is kind of bad. So anyway, just there you go. So I'm at the moment talking about the vocalist right there, talking about the vocalist as in a band. He's got to sound good. That makes the band sound good. Okay, now, the voice is the most, first off, let's look at it being physiologically challenging or intense. And the reason for that is, what I'm saying is you're a vocalist, and you're trying to learn a new technique, and you're trying to have a richer, fuller voice. You're trying to quit singing like this and go, no, I got to get rid of the accent. I love you, you're so great. You're trying to get rid of that sound. Or I've had people just like this, I love you, you're so great. It's like, what? Why are you singing like that? To myself, why is that happening? Anyway, so the point is, physiologically, every instrument. Wow, sorry about that, guys. Every instrument is built on habits. You whatever instrument you're playing, you're let's say the flute, you're trying to get whatever the your F correct. It's muscle memory. The fingers just go in there. So I'm saying it's muscle based. But the voice is invisible. You only are singing because you think you hear it right. You think you understand what you're supposed to do. You think you understand what's supposed to happen. So anyway, so the point is, first off, there's an invisible instrument. Here it is. And then every day of your life, you use your voice for 2 to 10 hours. And that technique in speaking is not the technique for singing. So when I'm getting at about the physiologically intense is that when you sing and try to learn a new technique, your body is fighting you. Those habits are fighting you. They're saying, no, this is how we do it. We do it like this. This is how I should hold my throat. This is how I, no, I don't want to support. I don't have to support because, I spent the last 4 hours talking to all my friends, and this is how I talked, and they loved it, and I didn't support, and I didn't push, and I didn't any of this kind of stuff. So what I'm just getting at is intense, the voice being physiologically intense is that it's hard to add in a new habit, and you're fighting an old habit, and you're actively fighting it. You're saying, don't sing like you speak, and here's the new technique, and your body's going, this is unnatural, this is weird. And now I'm talking about like if you're trying to learn to open your throat and drop your tongue and have a deeper, richer, fuller sound that makes you an FM DJ. If you're trying to do that, your body's fighting that, and it's saying that's not how we speak. That feels weird. And so if I try to open up my throat, for example, sing higher, if I'm trying to do that, it's harder and harder to open up as I go up, and the body's saying, we know how to hit those notes. It's and to say to your body, nobody, you have to go open up for a rounder, fuller sound. It's very hard. So it's physiologically intense. So, and the second thing is talking about being psychologically intense. When instrumentalist, as an instrumentalist, when you make a mistake, you look at your hands, you look at your horn, you look at the guitar, you look at the, it's like the music, it's somebody else's fault, since it's like it's one layer distant. It's not me, it's this hand, it's this instrument, it's my reed, on and on and on. So there's this, and we all know that's fake, including the instrumentalist knows that's fake, but still it's kind of a little layer. I needed change. I got a transition. Sorry. There, I'm transitioning. So anyway, so the instrumentalist looks at its hands, and he looks at everything else at the instrument, but the vocalist, the instrument is them. So when you don't sing well, a lot of people feel bad about themselves. Like, I have failed. I did not hit those notes right. And I'm bad, or I was flat, and I'm bad. Not, you're not grabbing your throat, bad throat, So anyway, I'm saying that to overcome that, because you haven't failed when you sing a wrong note. You haven't failed when you're flat. You haven't failed when you didn't hit that lick right. It just feels that way because you are the instrument, and the same process of getting better and isolating your mistakes and fixing those mistakes is available to you, and you can fix them, and you can be great. So I'm just commenting there that you don't just notice, as a vocalist, you have a physiological thing. It's hard to get new ideas in, because the old thing that you're using every day is fighting that. So remember that. Don't reject something on the voice because it feels weird. The question, does it sound weird? When you do it right, and your teacher or somebody's saying that is right, and it feels weird, you're saying, does that sound right? If it sounds right, it doesn't matter. We got to get a new habit. And then psychologically, when you make a mistake, don't be discouraged. When you're flat, don't be discouraged. When you're out singing the wrong note, or you sound nasally, or you sound like you shouldn't, don't be discouraged. So the same techniques that an instrumentalist uses, when he does have that degree of separation, I'm going to work on this and fix this. You take that approach, and you'll be able to fix those problems. It's okay if you make a mistake. And so it's frustrating, but still okay. All right. Now, let's see. Okay, so this is Mark Black. I'm Mark Black. This is Mark Teaches Music, and this is the Q&A. This is number 80. Again, like I said, very weird to me. It's that high. So again, I want to remind you, please, like, share, subscribe. It's right down there. You just click like that, and it's there. And take online lessons, take in-studio lessons with me. It's all great. And you can email me at Mark Teaches Music. Marky Dallas Music Lessons. No, it's not. Yeah, Marky Dallas Music Lessons. I'll fix that in a minute. And then you can go to Dallas Music Lessons if you want to get some feedback, or feel like if you want to figure out what things are like. And so drop your questions and comments in the comment section, the chat here, which is really weird to me that there is such a thing as a chat thing. And so I want you to have a great week. And I want you to remember to have fun. And I want you to be awesome.
Have fun. Be awesome. I said like, subscribe. You know you should. Oh yeah. Have fun. Be awesome. Like, subscribe. Have fun. Be awesome. You know you should. Have fun.